Thanks so much for joining us today, Kavich, and congratulations for the film. It's actually a very personal story for you, right? You actually grew up in the White Building. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, first I would like to say thank you to Singapore International Film Festival and the committee inviting the film. I'm very honored to be here, and thanks for Richard for the question. Yes, so after the Khmer Rouge ended in 1979, my family moved to live in the White Building. And during that time, my father, he heard the radio from the Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts calling for all artists who survived from the Khmer Rouge to, settle down in the White Building. And actually, my family from the province, but because my father is an artist, so he decided to move to Cambodia, to move to Phnom Penh. And that's how we end up living there. And I grew up and was born not in the White Building, but I grew up there almost my entire life. So for me, it's I have a lot of memory and how to say, people that I know and friends and neighbors, and I grew up with surrounded a lot of artists and arts in. Yeah.
So I think the presence of the artistic community there is kind of hinted at in the film, of course, with the father as a sculptor and so on. I suppose the other thing that the White Building was particularly celebrated for is its architecture. It was a kind of a exemplary of what was called New Khmer architecture, or a kind of modernism that combined international styles with Cambodian elements. Can you talk a bit about your decision to kind of only sort of hint towards that history of the artistic community as well as the architecture of the building?
Yes, so for me, actually, when I was young, I don't know that the White Building was quite a unique place, for the city, but maybe for the country, because I realized that after the building is gone, I could not find any place like that, as a White Building. So it was quite, how do you say? I mean, honestly, a bit sad, to know that, but I don't know what to do because it's already gone. And also, I would say White Building itself and the architect, and right now the Cambodia start to be. I mean, Cambodia is a development country, so I realized that every part of Phnom Penh start to see something new, old new building, all of that. But at the same time, I could feel that the old buildings start to be disappear. So for me, I think it's not a place where I grew up in the White Building, but at the same time, I think for me, it's a time where I documenting, what happening in Cambodia, and to reflect all of that, and to documenting the architect, that's unique and also built by Cambodian architecture. So all of that, it's how to say, connect to myself, and the context of how to say, the development of Cambodia, how that how to say the development, how that affect to the people itself in the present of Cambodia. So for me, it's like a questioning all that question, to the film.
Yeah, I think those questions of how the transformation of Phnom Penh as a city and other kinds of development, how those changes are affecting people, are something that many of your peers are grappling with as well, right? There are many contemporary artists who are grappling with these issues, and in fact, the White Building was kind of the scene of quite a flourishing arts and culture scene, right? There was something like Sasa Art Projects, a space for contemporary artists. There were performing arts organizations like Cambodian Living Arts. Amrita did some work there. Could you talk a bit about how you see yourself in relation to this kind of broader artistic and cultural scene that has been really flourishing in recent years, and was for a period quite centered on the White Building as well?
Honestly, I really don't think about that, when I make the film, and I have because maybe somehow I really think about the place, the place where I grew up, the place that I have a lot of memories. So we're thinking about that first. And also maybe the experience that where I grew up with a lot of, artists, like my father, myself, my classical dancer who live next to me, and my friend who all of that, that's kind of connect to myself. So for me, it's naturally that I somehow maybe make a film that link to the art. But even myself, that I also used to be a dancer, musician, So all that is really come from my experience, but also the background that I used to see all that in the white thing. So as you mentioned about the Cambodian living arts, and Amrita, all that, I think for me it's like giving more another perspective. It's to see how this community is growing up, but to see that place, it's become a place where a lot of artists, not only from the past, but also nowadays, and now it's gone. So I don't know where's other artists and other, those people go, even myself, that we have to be not the same area as before, but I would say some kind of, I don't know, like spreading, all over the place in Phnom Penh. Yeah.
So it used to be quite concentrated in the white building, and now it's really dispersed all over. And that, I guess, kind of echoes the story of the people in the film who are complaining that with the compensation they're offered, they're not going to be able to find a place to live in the city center anymore. I guess I'm interested in whether, having grown up in the white building and having sort of been surrounded by this artistic and cultural community while you're working on the film, did conversations with your peers kind of shape the way you approached this project?
I think it's sorry. So you mean like talking to your friend and your producer, all of that will shape that, right? I think I believe that the story itself have its own uniqueness, and I think it's normal that when you work with a team, and of course you have to discuss and to share all of that, and sometimes because they're part of the project, normally they need to understand that too, and of course I think I would say this is collaborative work, I have to work with other people, and of course I don't think it's come from myself itself, but it's from the people who know the project but know the building. So I think I would say it's another thing is like a fictional story, anyway, it's not like a document thing. So but the most important for me, how everyone could contribute this in a way very sincere and personal way. That's maybe the most how to say important thing for me, to shape that project as a personal and collaborative way, and also sincere way that I want to have it for the final product. Yeah.
I'm curious, has your father seen the film?
No, actually, my family not yet, actually, not yet. And I think maybe I because we plan to show the film in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh, but during the pandemic and everything's stuck, with the plan, and no one could not get out. And I feel that maybe I want to show them maybe on a big screen than on my laptop, so maybe it's better. I'm doubting what they're gonna see, because I feel somehow the story it's very talking about to my family and my father, who kind of I stole the story myself and put it in some story in the film, so it's some kind of reflection to my family, especially, and my mom and all that. I think for me it's gonna be I'm doubting and I'm skeptical what they're gonna think about the film, and of course I'm waiting for that moment.
Sure. I mean, the film kind of follows soon after Last Night I Saw You Smiling, which was a film that it was also centered in the white building, and it was really, in a way, a record of the destruction of the building, which in a way is the setting or the starting point for this film. What was the reaction to that film amongst your family or your friends in Cambodia?
Oh, you mean how the reaction after people seeing the film?
Yeah.
You mean my family and the people in general, the audience?
Yeah.
I personally, I don't ask anyone. Again, that during the time there was my film was screening at the Cambodian Film Festival, and then the festival had to shut down because of the COVID, so I don't have a chance to ask. But I would say maybe if you ask in general, I think some people I receive mixed comment, between good and sometimes questioning. They I mean, you might know that people were like, oh, I've been to the white building, all of that. They was mentioned that, and see how this film linked to the personal and to the place, as they've been there, but they actually don't know the story inside there. So it was quite new for them. And other comment, I would say maybe people think that the style of the film was very bold, like super. I don't know. It's like not like a normal people. I don't know. It's like it's in the independent cinema, so it's quite new for Cambodian audience. So I'm not sure if people could stay till the end of the film. but yeah, I this is what I say. But personally, I think I know what it look like for Cambodian watching the film. So for me, it's fine. And I think some people was very enjoy the film, a lot, and ask question. So I don't remember the question, but I was.
I'm sure that'll be the reaction to this film as well.
I remember. People said that, oh yeah, that's one scene that was shocking. I think you're shocking them, that the ending of the film, that you stay until the end and then you're running, all that. I hope I'm not spoiling to people who not have seen the film. But yeah, that's the I would say compliment, how the film was very personal,
Sure.
So yeah.
So returning to this film, White Building, you were talking earlier about the collaborative nature of filmmaking, and of course that's particularly true for your films, since you make them with with Anti-Archive, the production company in Phnom Penh. I noticed that in the credits there are many of your colleagues from Anti-Archive have contributed to the film in different ways. Maybe can you talk a bit about that process of collaboration as well?
Yes, actually, as maybe some people know, Anti-Archive was created in 2014 from David's ideas. David Chu's Cambodian French, and Steve Chan's Taiwanese Americans, and myself, back 2014. And I think the first idea we was thinking that finding production who produce art house. I don't know. I should start this like independent cinema was quite new. So maybe why not to create ourselves, so that we can produce and make our own film. And I think that project, I would say, was created not only about how we want, because at the same time, it's not what we want to make film, but it's from the friendship that we have with everybody, part of the member, but also the love in art and cinema that's become, how to say, the idea of creating this company, and the member who part of the Anti-Archive, not the founding, but I would say is our close friend, all that. So for me, I would say friendship and love, that's naturally born from the meeting, and from the production, And so again, I think it's really play in an important role for the Cambodian context, like I would like to say, in Cambodia, there's no film school, where you study cinema. There's no funding for independent cinema, filmmaker. There's no, cinema who screen art house or independent film. So I think Anti-Archive was a place where we come up, I would say a place where it's like, how to say, what Cambodia doesn't have, and we give that, but unintentionally, because why not we just do things by yourself and with our friend, So I think it was very dynamic, I would say, that if you know how to make film and you know that there's no access all that, so it's hard to make your own film. So for me, Anti-Archive was a very new and also dynamic to provide all that, like just even like you don't have money, but you have friends, idea and story you want to tell, you can make film. So it was very contrast from what the context of Cambodian cinema nowadays. So it was quite very dynamic for me. And yes, and as in the white bidding, a lot of key role in my film was all my good friend, I would say close friend. And I think, like I just explained, that it is symbolic of what anti-Thai is, and yes, and I think, I think making film is important. This is what Lee Jung-dong, I would say, the first time when I attended the Asian Cinema Film School in Busan, he came and at the end of the day he said, making film is important, but making friend is much more important of that. And I believe it's true, because you don't want to spend 2 or 3 hours on the set explain someone who doesn't know what you want, So you want to work and with someone that really understand what you're trying to do, And of course, I think white bidding, it's collaborative work with my close friend and with the French crew, and Douglas from American, and Thai crew as well. And we have students from PSA, the NGO who have film school here, and other support, in our local. So it was for me as a filmmaker was quite tough, and also my background from documentary, so it was very, how to say, new and also different, because I had to deal every day with 60 people on the set, but it was quite good experience too.
You mentioned Douglas, and then of course you also had Kanita, who is in charge of art direction for the film, and Daniel, who is the co-writer of the film with you. Maybe can you talk a bit more about what they all brought to the film in particular?
So, for example, I think for Kanita, I think she's an artist, I don't know how to explain, because she do many things, like installations, media, filmmaking, all that. But I think somehow, because she's in Cambodia, she's Cambodian, so she has somehow a perspective, on cinema, and with her own uniqueness, And for me, what I learn and share with her, just like she asks a lot of questions, like to dig more what you like and why you don't like, why you choose this, why you choose that. So for me, I think it's, like for someone who doesn't know thing that you want to just say it, maybe it's tough, but for someone who want to study or want to know yourself, maybe it's better. That's what you discover who you are and the project is, right? So again, I think it's not only Kanita, but when you work with people like Doug from different perspective, Daniel from different perspective, I refer to all that, because at the end you start to know yourself, like what your film, what your style you want. At the same time, maybe you also sharing, your perspective with other people, in different way. But at the same time, don't lose yourself that this is your own thing, this is your personal way, your personal thing, So I would say it's nice that you work with different people, sharing perspective, all that. But in one point, you will, if you strong enough and stay, this is, because you work with different people. But if you feel that all the question they ask, it's help you to understand yourself, maybe it's good. But at the same time, you might lose yourself too, So this, when you work with different people, all that. So I think it's the same, So, but I think I would say during the production, during the shooting, I'm quite a bit lost personal, honestly. But when during in post-production, I work with Felix Rem, who is the French editor. I think somehow I have my own time and spend time alone with him, and also watching the footage. And slowly I go back to my original idea, why I want to make this film, Because when you have so much footage and you have a lot of comment and ideas, sometimes, as I mentioned, you might be lost too. So maybe this is a good time for me to watch the footage and also think why I want to make this film. So slowly it's shaped you back to the original idea.
And you mentioned that one of those key reasons why you wanted to make this film was thinking about the effects of development on people in Cambodia today. And I guess that's quite a shift from the kinds of films that Cambodia was known for in the past. White Building has been really celebrated. It's the first Cambodian film to be an official selection at the Venice Film Festival. And of course, the actor who played Som Nang, Chuan Piset, was the first Cambodian actor to win a major film award since all the way back in 1984, when Hang Ngo won an award for his role in The Killing Fields. That film, of course, was about the Khmer Rouge period. And one of the things that sets Anti-Archive apart, and also that sets your films apart, is their interest in dealing with the present day, not dealing with these historical legacies, not dealing with the stories of the Khmer Rouge that continue to kind of dominate outsider views of Cambodia. Can you talk a little bit about what that's been like for you to really focus on the lived experience of the present day and the effects of something like development on people in Cambodia today?
Yeah, I personally feel maybe a bit tired to hear what people talk about the past. I mean, not to say that because I don't want to forget. I want to forget, but I mean, we can take it as the experience, maybe not like a perfect experience, because this is a tragic that we lose all people, but I feel that we look at other country, that what other people have been through, and more or less they kind of facing the same problem, like I don't know, like us, but I see that problem has been passing for many decades, and maybe let's say this, I mean, I, as a Cambodian who live here, I think it's a pain to understand all of that, but at the same time, and life is moving forward, you don't stuck with a place, and you have other things to do, and you have, of course, like my parents also dealing with all their trauma and all of that, but maybe as a new generation, we should need to find a way that where we could help ourselves, because we also part of the victim, but if we stick too much to that, I think we never move on, we never develop ourselves. Maybe why not to start to think something that we start to develop ourselves, but also find a way where we could help those people who still have the effect from the experience from the Khmer Rouge or all that, So for me, maybe talking about the film nowadays, it's example that I just explained, that maybe focusing now, what's the problem and how we're going to deal with it. Of course, when I say problem, there's so many things. Could be the past, could be the present, but everything is dealing with the same thing. But I think to find solution, we cannot stuck all, thinking about the past. I mean, we understand about the past, but we need to focus at the moment, because if you stuck to the past, maybe you could not find, maybe how to say, it depends on problem, but I think the most important nowadays is like to focus in the moment, and how we use the past and work on the present for the better future, And I think as I living in this generation, I see all that happen. It's maybe people are a bit confused that we are, they will always refer to Khmer Rouge or that, but I think it's been 40 years. Maybe we should be think of something new and hopeful. We cannot stay like this all the time. Yeah.
So last couple of questions are about the future, which you just mentioned. Firstly, I'm curious what's happened in the site of the White Building today. The building was destroyed, and what's happening with it now?
Sure. I just actually, it's coincidentally, I went there yesterday, and I have a small project to do, and I was past there, and I see many gigantic bulldozer. They build the fundamental,
Foundations.
Foundations, and the sound is so crazy and it's so loud. I could not imagine who people live around there. Yes, and it's still under construction, and I don't know what kind of construction they're gonna build and all that, but maybe I don't know. I don't know what, I haven't followed the news for a while, but it seems they're gonna build something,
Yeah. And it's surrounded by a whole lot of new construction as well, right? New high-rise towers, casino, and so on.
Yep.
It must feel very different than the environment you grew up in that building.
I don't know, but I mean, but I mean, when I was young, there's not many. I mean, there's is, but not many construction. But now there's so many, you know, and the high-rise building, maybe in the next 5 years, 10 years, there's will be more, for sure. Yeah.
You mentioned that you're working on a small project. Can you tell us what's next for you or for Auntie Akai?
Yes, I have a small idea, not like a solid yet. Yeah, I was thinking to make a story, maybe. I feel that's something, you know, between the old and young generation. There's a gap, you know, between those two generations, and I will find that the difficulty when they meet each other, they never find a way to discuss or to talk or to share all of that. So for me, I want to to focus on that, and maybe work on different perspective, you know, maybe not a man, or maybe it could be a woman, I don't know, you know, but now I'm still exploring the subjects, and see what I understand, you know, because I think in Cambodia there are so many stories. But at the same time, I want to find it in a very personal way, and also very you know, that I connected to, you know. So maybe I need to explore more and do some more research, and let's see, you know.
Okay. Thanks so much, Kavich. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us today. And for everyone watching, thank you. And please come down to the Singapore International Film Festival.
Thanks
you again.
Thank you, the festival. Thank you, Roger. And thank you to everyone who coming and watch my film today. Thank you.
Thanks, Kavich.